All right, class, we are going to study slope and rate of change today. You guys should be familiar with these terms, at least have it somewhere in the back of your mind. This is section 2.2. Essentially what slope is it is a way that we can quantify how much something, the pitch of something. So for example, when I look outside at my roof, I could look and be like, my roof is kind of normal, not very steep, but slightly steep, okay, something like that. Well, we want a way to quantify that. We want a way to give that a measurement, a number, so that I can compare it to other roofs, for example. So what we have for that is the term slope. Slope is always referenced as the letter M, and it is the ratio meaning division, of the vertical change, how much does something go up and down, to the horizontal change, how much does something go left to right. So essentially what you're doing is you're counting how much it goes up and down and dividing it by how much it goes left to right. In addition to the letter M, we also reference it as the change in Y divided by the change in X, or we'll call it the rise over run. How much does something go up and down divided by how much does something go left to right. And then we also have this guy here, and this is called slope formula. And this is used if I were to give you 2 points and I want to say, hey, find the slope between them. Then you would use slope formula. So starting out, kind of an easy example, a ramp goes up 15 inches while it goes over or out 54 inches. What is its slope? So this one, it wouldn't make sense to use slope formula because we have to assign points to them. We could do that, it's just not easier. Instead, we can think of it as this. How much does it change in Y? How much does it go up and down or rise? How much does it rise? Divided by how much does it run? How much does it move side to side? It should be 54. Now, it would be a shame to leave your answer as this because slope does need to be reduced, and that is not a reduced fraction. Keep in mind, we can push math button on our TI graphing calculators, the math button, and then frac, and it will do that reduction automatically. I don't have my graphing calculator in front of me, so I know that both of them are divisible by 3. So it would be 5 over 18. Next example. This one is using 2 points. And when we are using 2 points and trying to find slope, we're going to use slope formula. So what you're going to do is, slope formula is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. What you do is you say, hey, this is point number 1. And remember, it goes x comma y. And since this is point 1, we're going to use x1, y1. And this is point number 2. It actually doesn't matter which one's point 1 and which one's point 2. But we'll use this one to be point 2, and this will be x2 and y2. So what you do with slope formula is you take y2, which is negative 1, and subtract y1, which is negative 3. You have to be really intentionally careful about your negatives here, because there's going to be a lot of them in slope calculations. You're going to divide that by x2. x2 is 7. Subtract 3, because x1 is 3. Negative 1 minus negative 3 is positive 2, and 7 minus 3 is 4, so our slope here is 1/2. Go ahead and pause it here and try this one before I do. Same level of difficulty. We have x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. I'm just going to follow slope formula. Negative 1 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 1. Right? Negative 1 is y1, or sorry, y2, and 3 is y1. So negative 1 minus 3 and 2 minus negative 1. And negative 4 over 3 is your answer. Please leave your answers in fractions. Do not convert these to decimals. We always think of slope as a fraction. Every time that you rise negative 4, So every time that you go down 4, you go over 3. That's the pitch. That's the steepness of a slope of negative 4/3. We will use slope, the discussion of a positive slope or a negative slope or an undefined or a zero slope. A slope is positive if it is going up as you go from left to right. So as you go this direction, our line is going up. Now, I know I could go the opposite direction and it looks like it's going down, but we're reading all graphs from left to right. So then it's going up. This one here would have a negative slope, meaning the slope would be a negative number, right? So it's got a negative slope, it's going down. We call our slope undefined if it is going up and down. If you were to use slope formula, if you knew the coordinates of 2 points and you use slope formula, you would have divided by 0 here. Okay, because remember, it's rise over run. These 2 points don't have any run between them. They don't go left to right at all. They only rise. So you have some number as your numerator divided by 0, giving you an undefined slope. And similarly, this one's remember, you're not allowed to divide by 0, so that's why it's undefined. This one is a 0 slope because, same idea here, this one has 0 rise, but it would run. If you had 2 points, it doesn't go up and down between them, but it does go side to side. And 0 divided by anything is just 0. You also are going to need to be deciding if 2 lines are parallel or perpendicular. It's easy to tell if using slope formula though. 2 lines with the same slope are parallel. So I'll show you in the next example how we're going to decide this. Do not just take the 2 points and then take the other 2 points and plot them and say, hey, they look parallel. That's not what I want you to do. Instead, use slope formula twice and then compare the slopes. You actually don't know if these are parallel or if they're just close. That's the problem with looking at them. You can tell if 2 lines are perpendicular if their slopes are negative reciprocals. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the slopes of both lines. If you got negative reciprocals, they would be perpendicular. And what I mean by negative reciprocals, reciprocal, of course, means flip. So if you had 1/4, the reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1. So these are reciprocals, but in order to be perpendicular, one of them has to be positive and one has to be negative. So 1/4 and -4 over 1 are perpendicular. Or 2/3, -2/3 and 3/2 are perpendicular. Or -1 over 1 and +1 over 1 are perpendicular, right? Because they would be flips of each other. And then one's positive and one's negative. I'll do one more. 10 is perpendicular with -1/10. Because 10 is the same as 10 over 1. Flip it, 1 should be negative. So how this will actually look is you'll be given a line 1, and you're going to find the slope of that using slope formula, of course. So x1, y1, x2, y2, y2 minus y1, so -1 minus 2 over 0 minus -2. -3 over 2. That's the slope of line 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing with line 2. 3 minus -1 over 2 minus -4. That is 4 over 6. They might not look the same right now, but keep in mind you have to reduce your fractions. That would be 2/3. -3/2 in 2 over 3 would be 2/3, would be the two slopes here. Those are one positive, one negative, and reciprocal, so these are perpendicular. That's all I have for you guys for section 2.2. Please let me know if you have any questions.